Hey there guys, thanks for tuning in. Just a quick one today. I'm going to speak to you about stomach vacuums, ab vacuums, which work the transverse abdomini. And this is a muscle that many people forget about when they're training their abs, but it's actually instrumental in A, giving you a flat stomach, B, eliminating back pain for a lot of people, and C, aiding with your correct breathing, which has many other positive effects. So let's look at that in a bit more detail. So basically, your abs, your midsection, your core are made up of many muscles. There's not just abs. These aren't 6 muscles. This is the rectus abdomini, which is one sheet of muscle running across the front of your stomach. At the sides, you have internal and external obliques, which go underneath your rib cage, there-ish, and they're useful for twisting your body that way and bending side to side. The rectus abdomini are useful for bending forwards, which is why crunching works them. If it wasn't for these, the muscles in your back, such as the erector spinae, would bend you backwards and you'd snap in half. That's why the best ab exercises, which we're going to look at in another video, are ones that don't just involve doing this short movement, which is a very small range of movement, a crunch, but actually involve bending further back or moving your legs more, the myotatic crunch, for instance. So those are some muscles in your core. But another very important one is the transverse abdomini. And what this is it's the muscle that wraps around your abs and is used for squeezing in, for bringing your abs in towards your back. So between the transverse abdomini, the obliques and the erector spinae, which are useful for bending upwards, the opposite of the rectus abdomini, useful for when you're doing deadlifts. These make up nature's weight belt, which has the combined effects of pulling your stomach in, making it flatter, which is obviously what a lot of people want, but also at the same time supporting your back. And this is one of the reasons that training these muscles can help to prevent lower back pain. It gives you a kind of rigid armour around this area, and it's also very important for plugging the energy leaks in the kinetic chain when you're doing exercises like the press-ups. It will make you more powerful, better performance, fewer injuries. It's just, you need to train all the muscles around there. But doing just crunches is not going to target the transverse abdomini. You need to use different exercises to target those. Plank will do it to an extent, but not hugely. So actually the very best way to train it is just to use it by bringing in your stomach, like so. When you do this, and bring your navel, your belly button, in towards your spine, that is you working your transverse abdomini. And the great thing is you can do this exercise anywhere, and that's a vacuum. To do a proper vacuum, this is what bodybuilders would use in the golden age of bodybuilding. You breathe out, pull up your diaphragm, pull your stomach in using the transverse abdomini, and there you have an ab vacuum, a stomach vacuum, which they use for posing. But it's actually also a very good way of training that muscle and giving yourself the flatter abs. So the combination of the rectus abdomini to give you the nice 6-pack, which is all one sheet of muscle divided into 6 little segments, combined with the transverse abdomini, which is inside, you can't see it, but it pulls your gut in to give you that flat stomach, will give you much better core, much better looking abs. I'm working on mine at the moment and I've noticed big improvements. So you want to use those sorts of exercises, the vacuums, and if you work those into your program, you should notice some improvements. There's other ways you can do it too though. One's called the cat vomit exercise, which is one where you go on all fours and then just repeat that movement, bringing your navel in towards your spine and then releasing it. And if you repeat that whilst in this kind of all fours position, that's the cat vomit exercise, as Tim Ferriss calls it. And again, he recommends using that in conjunction with the myotatic crunch, and he says that that's a great way of building a good looking core, and I have to say I generally agree with him. You can also, I actually use it whilst doing plank. You can do a plank and then bring that in. But also I like to just do it whilst I'm doing other exercises, like whilst I'm doing the press-ups or the handstand press-ups. I make sure that I'm consciously tensing this part of my body, bringing it in order to give myself really rigid, so again there's no energy links. I'm not swinging around, wobbling all over the place, and my form is much better. So that's very useful. That's another way you can use it. Now, something I have heard about regularly, hang on a second, Bear with me, I'll be right back. Yes, whilst reading about the transverse abdomini, something I've come across regularly is the idea of tying a piece of string around your stomach whilst you've got a slight vacuum on. And the idea behind this is every time you breathe out, or you feel it, push there, so you're holding it in more. Now some people say you can use this technique all day whilst you're at work, whilst you go through your routine, etc. Obviously not using something quite as noticeable as this, maybe a small piece of string. You can keep it on, and throughout the day you'll be forced to engage the transverse abdomini, and by the end of the day you'll be tired, but by the end of the month you'll have a slimmer waistline, flatter abs. That's the idea. I don't personally recommend it, because in order to breathe properly, you're supposed to breathe from your stomach. You're supposed to breathe by pushing your stomach out. You breathe in by letting your stomach out. So what this does is it allows the diaphragm to relax, moving into the abdominal cavity, and you engage the lower portion of your lungs. And apparently this can make breathing 13% more effective, more efficient. So you're taking in 13% more oxygen, and as a result you see lowered cortisol levels, which will make you feel less stressed, and in turn increase your testosterone, your growth hormone, your anabolic hormones. It will also reduce hypertension, make you more relaxed in your muscles, and in general it's got tons of health benefits. It's far more efficient for running. It will help you to run further and faster, improving your VO2 max. But so, having this tied around your waist, what it's going to force you to do is not be able to breathe very well. And the thing is, most of us already breathe incorrectly. We breathe through our chests when we should be breathing through our stomachs. If you look at a baby, they breathe through their stomachs. Most adults breathe through their chest. Why? Because we sit at office desks a lot of the time, or sit in the car, or on the train, on the commute. And when we do this, our body is collapsed, and that makes it very difficult for us to breathe properly. We're not supposed to sit down in that position as much as we do. So to compensate, we breathe from our chest, and this becomes habit, and so we stop breathing normally. You can fix that by focusing on your breathing, but tying a piece of rope around your stomach isn't going to help with that. So I don't think that's a terrible technique. I say maybe try using it occasionally during a workout when you're trying to remind yourself to engage your core in your exercises. Maybe try it for a little bit. Maybe if you just want to, if you're just bored. And one positive is it does force you to sit up straighter, which is another important thing. Posture actually makes a big difference to your abs. Look at the difference between my abs when I'm stood up straight versus slumped. I don't know what that look like. Hopefully it illustrated my point. But yeah, so you don't want to tie a piece of string around your stomach all day. I think that's madness. But interestingly, if you do breathe properly, and anyways, it's an isometric hold. It's just a tense. There's no range of movement. You're not going to make much difference by just holding it in. But on the other hand, if you breathe correctly, so you're letting your stomach out when you breathe in, like that, then you actually pull your transverse abdomini in order to breathe back out. You release it to breathe in, and you pull it in to breathe out. You should also be engaging your chest and your intercostal muscles, which are the ones in between your ribs. But that comes second. That's the second part of the breathing motion. You start in your stomach, and it then expands up to your chest, rather than the other way around, or rather than not using your stomach at all. So, can't remember what I was saying. Point is that if you're breathing out and then breathing in using your stomach, then you're actually exercising that muscle that's not getting the attention it normally deserves. Every time you put it back in, you're getting a slight tension on it, and you're working it. So ideal breathing will not only improve your mood, it will not only improve your sleep, it will not only improve your running endurance and your and all these different things. It will not only improve your hormone balance, but it will also give you a small workout on the transverse abdomini, which you can then further enhance with your workouts, where you're engaging it using things like the cat vomit exercise. So there you go, and you'll see all-round benefits by paying attention to your breathing and to this muscle. Of course, you've got to work all the muscles in your core, and it's also just as important to make sure you're doing exercise for your back. We have a tendency, the way we train has no bearing on the way we move. Most of us will want to train the muscles on the front of our body, our biceps, our pecs, our abs, and we don't care about the back. So you end up That's another reason you end up like this, that and your office job. So you want to make sure you're training your whole core. And I've put a link in the description to my website to an article called Ab Anatomy, a very good pun, and that will talk you through each of the muscles in your core and your lower spine, and it will tell you how to work all of them. And even your hips, your hip flexors and extensors and your adductors and abductors, they all play a role in stabilising this whole area and making it the way it should be. I'm learning all this stuff right now. I'm diving really deep into it and integrating it into my training. Hopefully you can already see that it's had some benefits for me, and they'll be continuing, I hope, over the course of my videos. And I'm going to share all this information with you here and on my site. So if you like what you've seen today and you found it useful, then please subscribe, share, like, etc. And I hope to see you for the next video. Thanks for watching, and bye-bye.